Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Welcome to our 2025 Chicago Ornithological Society annual meeting. Yay! Thank you all so much for being here. As mentioned before, we are trying something different this time around. We are using AHA slides to enhance your experience with our annual meeting. So please take a moment when you can to scan that QR code up there or use the URL to find your way to the website associated with our presentation here tonight. This is going to be a way for you to engage a little bit more in the event and also how you will be able to answer the trivia question portions of this presentation. And while you can obviously answer your trivia questions in the Zoom chat as well, I will say if you use the app to participate, you will be scored in real time against your fellow birders. So a little added incentive to maybe get in there and go ahead and make your put your name in there and get logged in. With that said, let's go ahead and switch over. So I believe our first step here is we've got a little bit of an icebreaker just to kind of get folks familiar with each other. So go ahead, if you have the app open, start putting in there, what was your most memorable bird sighting in Chicago area in 2024? Once we start getting some responses here, they should start popping up. I mean, there you go. Number one, snowy owl. That's about as memorable as it gets, certainly. Yeah, burrowing owl, right? Dude, I am loving the nocturnal bird love here right out of the gate. Whippoorwills, burrowing owl, snowy owl. Okay, all right, now we're getting a little more diversity. There we go. Okay, for the 3 people who saw that shearwater, I see you. Love it, love it. American kestrel right there in center. I mean, I don't know how many kestrels I've seen in my life, and they're always so memorable. Every one of them. I love this. All right, it looks like I see the little notification. People are still typing. Got a few more coming. Okay, the constant shift of words is a little trippy. A rough? Oh man, that's a crazy one too. I gotta turn my head here to read them. Snow bunting? Oh god, I love snow bunting. The toasted marshmallows of the bird world. Hawk eating a snake. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Shout out to whoever put in peregrine there. Couple put peregrine falcon. Nice, very thematic for the year. I hope you got those peregrines on one of our peregrine trips. Or not, it's fine. But also. All right. Thank you all for popping your birds in there. This is awesome. I know even just reading your entries, I'm like, oh yeah, wait, I saw that too, or oh, I saw this too, and it's bringing back a whole bunch of memories. It's been a long year. Honestly, it's been hard to remember and keep track of everything. But thank you for sharing your observations with us here. So let's go ahead and keep things moving along here. Quick kind of update on our agenda for the evening here. I'm going to talk a little bit. I promise not for a long time. And then we will talk a little bit more about exactly what it is that we did in 2024. Give some time over to the 2024 recipient of the Doug Anderson Conservation Grant. Talk a little about what we've got cooking for 25, as well as then some LaBagh accomplishments and awards. Little photo of the year award. And lastly, we'll close it down with some trivia. But that's our plan here for the evening. Move on to the next one here. So, President's Update. That's me. My name is Edward Warden. I'm president of Chicago Ornithological Society, and I'm going to be your, I guess, master of ceremonies here, or host, however you want to look at it. But once again, I want to thank you all for being here this evening. I will note that we are probably going to be here, well, at least for an hour and a half, possibly more. So please feel free at any point to leave, come back. We will let you back into the room, go get a drink, eat your dinner, grab a snack, whatever you need to do. We'll be rocking and rolling in here, so feel free to come and go as you need to. I did already mention that we are recording this evening, so just make sure you keep yourself muted for the program here. And with that said, again, I want to emphasize it was a wild year. Personally, um, I had to go back into my calendar and look at like old COS blog posts to remind myself what the heck even happened this year. Um, I barely remembered a lot of it, but between that and your awesome bird memorable moments here, it started to slowly come back and flood in. What a roller coaster of a year this was. Um, there were a lot of highlights. There were a lot of low lights, as there is in any good year. But one of the things that stood out to me is there was definitely a theme across a lot of the things as I was digging up all these memories, this archive of memories here. So let's take a quick walk down memory lane here, real quick. I know we'll talk a little bit more about 2024 in whole, but some of the things that stood out to me were some of the really low points. For example, bird flu. I know we're going through a wave of that right now, but I don't know if y'all remember, we had a huge wave of that in the spring of last year as well. It seems like it's this, weird disease that's just hanging in there and not letting go, gift that keeps on giving. It was right now it seems to be hitting primarily waterfowl, but at that time it seemed like the biggest victim was actually birds of prey. We were seeing a lot of birds of prey numbers fall to bird flu and bird feeders, in particular bird feeder birds. That doesn't seem to be the case so far in this variation. But that was basically how we started our year. Welcome to 2024. Take down your feeders. Not a great start. And of course, then we bookended the year in fall with that notorious massacre of birds at McCormick Place. I mean, who can forget that? It's a little ironic considering that just today, several news articles came out celebrating McCormick Place. But it's important to remember that that was not that long ago. That awful event happened, and really kind of changed a lot of how we see bird migration. It took a really otherwise amazing day and completely tarnished it. That said, there were also really a lot of great highlights and some that directly relate to those lowlights. For example, speaking of McCormick Place, they cleaned up their act. Credit where it's due. The articles that came out today indicated that 95% reduction in bird collision and mortality since installing the bird tape on their windows via Feather Friendly. Holy crap. 95% is an insane number. You just don't see that kind of thing in really any projects anywhere. That's incredible. The Urban Birding Festival, which happened in September of this last year. First shot ever at that. And how amazing was that? Hopefully, many of you, all of you, were there or were able to participate in some element of it. Those things don't just, again, come out of thin air, conjured from nothing. There was an incredible amount of work that went into that. And, it was our first year. We weren't really expecting much, but man, way to knock it out of the park. Let's see what else is on my list here. Oh, right. Year of the Peregrine. Yeah. We celebrated all through 2024, the Peregrine Falcon, 25 years as the city's official bird with public events, field trips, virtual events, you name it. Lots of great participation and excitement around that. Who here was here for the bird debate that happened at Peggy Note of Art Nature Museum? Some of you, a lot of you. If you were there, hit the like button on your phone. What a fantastic way to celebrate birds and celebrate some city pride along the way in our feathered friends here. Now, we can't really technically take credit for this one, but I also want to give a special shout out to Mr. Shearwater, wherever he was in the chat. An incredible big year record was smashed in 2023 as well. Tarek, shout out to you. Congratulations on that as well. I'm sure this will not be the first or last time. This will not be the last time that we'll talk about that tonight. But some really incredible milestones that stand in contrast to what were some really low lights as well. Now you're probably thinking, okay, great, cool, way to do the highlight reel here. But what do you mean? What ties all these things together other than the obvious, which is, well, birds? Well, what ties these all together is the human element, but more importantly, that we all showed up. Think about each of the things that I listed here. None of those were things that happened in and of themselves or on their own. So let's take, for example, the bird flu situation. Yes, that's not something in our control. That was well out of our control. But what happened in response to that? People listened, they learned, They cleaned their feeders. They took down their feeders. They acted in small ways in a large scale to try to impact this awful event. What happened in McCormick Place? I don't want to give too much credit. They would not have done anything at all if it hadn't been for you guys pressuring them, coming together, making a stink about what happened to get them to clean up their act. That was you. That was us turning out, making that happen. Urban Birding Festival. I mean, I don't think anybody thought that was really gonna be that big of a deal this first time around. But oh my goodness, was it? And it wasn't just because of the amazing and incredible planning by folks here at COS and our partner organizations that put that together. It was you guys that turned out, that came to that event and made it what it was. All the planning in the world wouldn't have amounted to anything if you guys weren't there to participate and help make it happen and make it the amazing event it was. Tarek's big year. Tarek deserves all the credit in the world for that effort. But that was also a community effort. That was people out there birding in real time and finding rarities and letting them know. When Tarek announced to the world this is something he's trying to do, people turned out to help him. People came out to give photos, give him intel, get him where he needed to go, help charter boats, right? That was a community effort. That was people coming together and turning out for each other, for birds. So everything that I listed here, the good and the bad, is all tied together by not just people being people, not just birders being birders, but by birders, all of us, our community, coming out and participating, being part of the process together and making a difference together. Yeah, I recognize that as we slide into an uncertain year, 2025 is going to be interesting, to put it lightly and gently. It's easy to get overwhelmed with questions. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Where do we do it? Why do we do it? All the things that are going to come up. How do I participate and maximize my participation? How can I be, the biggest advocate for the things that matter to me? All of us are just one person. We can't be every place all at once. We only have so much energy. We only have so much time. And it's easy to kind of just either suffer from indecision or stall out or give up or become despondent. But the daily battle that we all face is rarely a big grand gesture of good and evil. It's rarely ever manifests as that. The daily battle that all of us face at the end of the day usually comes down to simply doing good versus doing nothing. If we approach every single day like we approach going birding, pressuring McCormick Place, cleaning our feeders, acts of doing good, even if they're small things, that's gonna be what makes the difference going forward here. That's gonna be how we do these things. If that means, you know what, having fun and showing up to a birding festival, that makes a difference because that ensures that there's community for these things. That ensures that festival continues. If that means going out and participating in a local event or supporting a fellow birder trying to accomplish a milestone, right? These are little things. Doing good versus doing nothing means that you're leaving impact on these spaces and each other that will lead to further good. It doesn't have to be the world. It doesn't have to be the grand gestures. It just has to be the little things every day that get us from point A to point B. So I'm going to return to this, but I think that this is an important thing to keep in mind is that we have done this. We as birders have turned out and supported each other. And I want to encourage us to continue to do that as we go into this new year, because that's what makes all the difference in an organization like ours, which is all volunteer run. That's what makes all the difference in our community, which is just a bunch of people who really love birds, and all the difference for what comes next. Now, I would like to turn a little bit inward facing and give a big shout out to our COS board. If you want to talk about people who show up and come out, this is your family right here. These people are absolute heroes when it comes to getting up every day and having some sort of action that makes a meaningful impact on this organization and what we can do for you, do for birds, and do for Chicagoland. So I would like to really call all these people out real quick. So Jay Chi, who is our new incoming vice president, Katie Krigbaum, our longtime secretary, Christina Warnock, treasurer, as well as our board members at large, Vinod Babu, Chris Cochran, M. DeBlas, Robin Detterline, Marty Flynn, Christina Harbour, Chris Holden, Brighton Jelke, Jake Vinsel, and Lindsay Wilkes. Thank you. These guys are your officers for 2025, your board directors for 2025. You voted for them, or hopefully you guys did in the ballot that was sent out about a week and a half ago or so. And so give a big round of hearts on your phone to these amazing individuals who really go above and beyond to be those people that come out and do good every day. Thank you to all of them. I also do want to call out some of the board members who will be leaving our board in this new year, but they deserve some incredible recognition as well because they served all through 2024 doing some amazing work. So leaving us, but definitely not forgotten and are still very much part of our community and individuals we will continue to work with. Stephanie Bilkey, our outgoing vice president and Calumet chair, queen of all things Calumet, longtime collaborator and launcher of several important projects that we do. Thank you, Stephanie, for your contributions. Morgan Harpster was basically the one-man band, one lady band that created the membership system that you guys see today. We tracked all of our membership in a giant, clunky, awful Excel spreadsheet. Morgan took all of that Stone Age tech and streamlined it and made it so much easier for us as an organization to manage and deal with. Thank you, Morgan, for all of your incredible work. Aaron Tedesco, longtime board member, took, once again, all of our field trip approaches from the Stone Age into the modern age. Before Aaron, we were averaging maybe about 20, 30 field trips a year. After Aaron finished their term as field trip chair, we were averaging close to 100 a year. That's incredible. And went from a point during COVID where we were taking field trips, ensured safe field trips, and into our modern era. Thank you, Aaron, for all of your contributions. We're also saying farewell to Christine Williamson. I don't know if she is the longest serving board member in COS history, but I also don't know anybody else who served more than her, so I'm going to say it's probably the longest. Chris Williamson is leaving COS after 25 years as a board member with Chicago Ornithological Society, has done a stint in several positions, chair positions, officer positions. Chris, thank you for your literally quarter of a century service to our organization and obviously to us as birders in this community. Thank you. Incredible. Next slide. I just want to acknowledge all of our incredible partners. As amazing as we are, and I might be a tad biased, but I think we're pretty amazing. We would not be able to do all the work that we do in a silo by ourselves. Anybody who tells you that their organization did something single-handedly is just straight lying to you. You can't. There is nothing that we can do in this day and age that doesn't involve partners and collaborators. So don't believe the liars. Believe the organizations that are honest in that they can't do everything, but they can do everything when they do it together. So I definitely want to list out here and shout out to all the amazing partners that COS has worked with over the course of 2024. I know there's some representatives from some of those organizations here today, so you know who you are. Thank you. Next slide. And last but not least, this is your opportunity if you would like to join this team and for your daily good to possibly be with us as an organization. There are lots of opportunities to join us in improving Chicago, improving bird habitat, improving birding opportunities, improving our community, and you can do that with us. These are just some of the volunteer opportunities over on the right side there that we are actively looking for people to help out with. But I definitely encourage you to, if you don't see anything immediately of interest there, don't feel that that is the limit to the scope of what you can do. You can hop over to our website, chicagobirder.org. Up there in the About Us section, you can read about our committees, the things that we do. Please check it out. Feel free to reach out, shoot us an email, join us, let us know what you would like to see and do with us at COS. We would love to have you as a team member and a collaborator. Next slide. So with that said, I am going to turn it over to my fellow board member to bring it on to the next section here. But I just would like to close out here and just, I'm not say leave you with this because you're about to be here with us for a while, but leave this section with just this note. I mentioned that we're not going to get through this next year without turning out. And I mean that in terms of turning out for birds, certainly, turning out for each other and turning out for yourself. Doing little acts every day that will make that impact. I think the best way to look at it is essentially go into this year insisting on compassion for yourself, ourselves, and for birds in a time when it feels like we're living in a world of incompassion. All right. Think about what you can do for all of these elements, how to stay healthy and sane, and doing that little piece every day. And this is going to be an amazing year going forward. Crazy? Absolutely. But it is still going to be a good year if we can bear that in mind, have compassion for each other and yourself. And if we do that together, we'll make it through. So with that said, I would like to pass it over to M. DeBlas, one of our newest board members, to talk about what COS accomplished in 2024. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Is it good? Can I get some heart reacts in there if you can hear me? We're good? Sweet. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Edward, for that very warm introduction to our annual meeting going on here today. And I want to thank COS again for having me here, to giving me the opportunity to share with you all what's going on today, some of the accomplishments that COS accomplished in 2024. So as you can see in the slide right there, COS organized a lot of in-person and virtual education programs, including things such as flock clubs, all sorts of social events, such as happy hour and wingspan game nights, which all sound very fun. And hopefully if you were there, you also had a blast too. I'll make sure to pop out to a lot of those as well. A lot of the programs focused on Year of the Peregrine, which included webinars, a really cool field trip to the Field Museum and to see their very awesome bird collection, and a mock debate for City Bird of Chicago, which I heard very, very wonderful things about as well. Field trips, as you may know, COS does a whole lot of field trips. Actually, this year we did 130 of them, which is an amazing number. Really, really awesome to hear that we've led that many. In those 130 trips in 2024, about 642 unique individuals signed up for field trips, which is absolutely awesome. I'm sure a lot of you are here. You might have heard about COS through a field trip and everything. So thank you all very much for showing up, joining us in very awesome field trips. A lot of these took place in really, really cool locations, such as Millennium Park in downtown Chicago. A lot of people took a train trip over to the Indiana Dunes State Park, and a whole lot of places in between. I know if you had the chance to join me in some of them, we went to cool places such as Thatcher Woods and McKinley Park, and I definitely have in mind a lot more of those. COS offered a bunch of bilingual English-Spanish trips, and believe me, those will keep happening because I had an absolute blast at them. So, and Vinod says Lynn Woods, absolutely. Awesome place there too. We want to thank all of our field trip leaders as well. They are listed right here on the screen. So if your name's up there, thank you all so much for being leaders in COS. Can I get the next slide, I believe? I believe I have a trivia question for you all. So you will receive a prompt on your phone right there. I believe mine is asking me for my name. All right, so getting a couple names in here. Someone named LBBG, Lesser Blackpack Gull, thank you. Welcome, everybody. All right, are we ready here? Cool. So COS keeps a record of species observed on field trips dating back to 1921. Which of the following species was observed on a COS field trip in Cook County for the first time in 2024? And there's a hint for you all, is that there's more than one correct answer.
Also, an important note with these questions, all of these questions, is that the faster you respond, the more points you get.
Yes, so the answer is Ross's golden Eurasian collared dove. If you got that question right, congratulations. We are seeing that Ed Bird is in first place. Wow, Edward, thank you. Robin Brighton, congrats, third place and everything. And Tarek, fifth place, Alice, fourth place. Hopefully in future questions, we'll get more competitive over here and everything. Yeah, thank you all very much for participating in that. Now, our next slide talks a little bit about Calumet's initiative projects. We completed year three with Modus antenna on the top of Ford Calumet Environmental Center at Big Marsh, right? So it's been an absolute awesome time reading about this stuff, really hearing about the work going on over here. And we're getting some love in the chat section. Thank you so much. First individual detected in 3 years. They saw a northern saw-whet owl. That sounds really cool because I've never seen a northern saw-whet owl. So that's really awesome, right? We also completed year 5 at MAPS Banding Station at Big Marsh, which we were getting some love in the comments for that. Over there, we're also hanging out doing some monitoring avian productivity and survivorship protocol, just capturing, collect measurements, tag, and release birds. Looks like they banded about 208 birds of 24 different species, which sounds absolutely awesome. Congratulations to and thank you to all the volunteers listed right here who arrived before sunrise to assist and help out with all the work that is going on over there. Thank you all so much. We'll move on to the next slide. COS also continued its work with the Chicago Nighthawk Project, right? It's the biggest year yet on all fronts collecting data on the nighthawk population, right? So about 50 volunteers worked there, 160 locations monitored, and about 500 site visits with 213 nighthawk detections, which sounds, that sounds like a pretty big year in terms of nighthawk. So thank you all very much. Featured in Bird Conservation Magazine as one of the only active projects in the US, which is awesome. Really cool. And then again, one big, huge thank you to all the volunteers right there. If your name's on the screen, really big, huge thank you to your work for volunteering with us. I'll move to the next slide. Now, we also had that very awesome fundraiser. If you were there, I want to see you all drop some hearts right there. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. So it brought our amazing birding community together. I know COS sometimes feels like you only really see each other at bird walks or, other social events and everything. So it's really cool to have a fundraiser like this where we all get to kind of see each other and hang out for a little bit. We accepted a record number of amazing donations from local artists and organizations. Thank you all so very much like that. In total, we raised about $4,600, which that sounds amazing. Thank you all so much for all that. Now, if we do take donations year round at chicagobirder.org, visit our website if you'd like to learn more about donating and everything. Thank you all to all the volunteers as well and all the donors who helped out and assisted in making sure that the fundraiser was an absolute success. And Jake dropped a comment right there in the chat. Thank you all, everyone. Thank you, Jake. Now, let's talk about the Chicago Birder, right? Every time I get these in my email, I'm super excited. It's like getting my own little magazine and everything like that. Super awesome, right? This year, we published 4 editions of the Chicago Birder, COS's digital magazine, for members. If you're interested in volunteering as a writer, editor, photographer, make sure to contact us at chicagobirder@gmail.com because I'm sure there's a lot of help that is needed with that stuff. And we also got more comment section stuff if you want to hear more about that. But thank you again to all the volunteers, to all the help that is being involved with photographers and writers and editors when it comes to the Chicago Birder magazine and blog. Thank you all so much. Now, we also got a cool little bit of information on the Christmas bird account. We ended the year by organizing 2 accounts, right? One of them happening over at Lyle Arboretum Count, where they successfully ran the 76th Christmas bird account. It was a strong turnout for what continues to be one of the most well-attended Christmas bird counts in Illinois. We smashed 5 species high count records, such as including the hairy woodpecker, brown creeper, winter wren, barred owl, and trumpeter swan, which sounds super, super awesome. They also were hanging out over at the lakefront, which is the first year running this longtime Chicago count, in which now it is 71st year, where we saw the third highest population rate in count history. Broke species high count record for red-shouldered hawk, which is very awesome news. Now, I believe that does it for my time and everything. Thank you all very much for joining us here. Thank you very much for the time, for the leadership right here. And I'd like to pass it on to Todd Thomas over here to talk a little bit more about the 2024 Doug Anderson mini grant.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Well, my name is Todd Thomas, and I work with an organization on the west side of Chicago. It's called Strategic Human Services, most well known for a newspaper that they put out called the North Lawndale Community News. This past summer, one of the kind of a first for us, we had a summer program for teens, for youth. And I worked with the program, and I'm kind of an avid birder myself, and I was thinking, yeah, might as well get the kids involved in birding as well. So I knew about the Anderson grant, and I applied, and luckily we were chosen as the recipient. I really appreciate that. With the money that we got from the grant, we bought binoculars and a camera lens to assist us on our birding hikes. And one of the cool things is that we were really close to Columbus Park. The office is actually, I would say, about 5 blocks from Columbus Park. So we were able to just walk over there to the park, sometimes take a van and take the kids over and just do some basic birding. So, teens definitely have their likes, as everyone knows, and dislikes. And I won't say that they all loved getting out there at the park in the summer heat, but overall, I think it was a good experience. And here we've got some slides that we put together from our trips. Over there on the left, you've got a group of kids trying out the binoculars. Next to that, you've got that's the camera lens that we purchased, 400 millimeter. It's really nice. The next picture is the kids. That's the first time we went out to Columbus Park. Then we've got the box that the fabulous binoculars came in. I think we bought about 5 pair. Then next to that, we got a nice robin that one of the kids took a picture of. I think that's with the 400 millimeter lens. Nice clear picture, and that kind of stuff gets the kids engaged when it's quality. So that's why we went ahead and bought some really nice binoculars and a nice camera lens, because kids these days also are very aware of quality. So, and that was inspirational as well. So the next picture, I think one of the kids is trying out the camera there. So can you move up a little bit, Christina, with the pictures? And here out on a birding hike, I'm not sure, I think that's called a magnolia warbler that they took a picture of. Next to that, cedar waxwing, of course, the beautiful cedar waxwing, and all in Columbus Park, of course, which is, like I say, just a fabulous place in the community that a lot of people don't really take advantage of. So that's another great thing about the grant too, is because we got these kids out here to check out nature when otherwise they probably wouldn't have. I mean, they might ride their bikes through or ride a scooter through, but they're not really going to engage. So this gave them opportunity to get a little deeper into it. Then we got the black crowned night heron. They're very frequent visitors at the park. And of course, while we were at the park over the summer, there was a pretty bad storm. I think people say they may have been a tornado. And that picture there is of damage to some of the trees in the park, pictures that the kids took. Then we've got, I think it was that's a Baltimore Oriole, obviously. And then probably somebody captured a real nice picture of a Caspian tern, which was the fishing acrobats out there that everybody really loved watching. And also it's great practice too with the camera and the binoculars, trying to follow them and get a good shot. So I think we got a few more pictures that we took out there. Yeah, also, like I said, the main part of the organization is the North Lawndale Community News. So this is a article about the birding program in our paper. And next to that, we got George Garcia, who everybody knows him. He's an avid birder and leads a lot of birding hikes in Chicago. And he did a really great job of taking the kids out and engaging them. And I think right here they're looking at probably a heron because they're out there a lot too. But yeah, he taught them the beginning phases of how to use the binoculars. So he was a big help to us as well. So basically, that's about it. Um, now, finally, the last last bird, green heron, I suppose. Yeah, green heron. And yeah, the kids, I think, took a picture of that one. So, it was a great experience for the kids. We really appreciate receiving the grant so that we could purchase the binoculars and the camera lens. It's an incredible experience walking around there with the kids. And, we're going to keep doing it. Next summer, when we have more kids come through, we'll probably, kick off the birding program again. And, you know, uh, even if, well, oh yeah, just one thing I wanted to ask that we didn't do that I wish we had was we started in like July. And I kind of wish we had started earlier during migration. I think it would have been a little bit more intriguing, but we got started a little later. But this year, if we do it again, we're going to start a little bit earlier so the kids can check out some of the cool birds that pass through Columbus Park in the spring. So I think that's going to wrap it up. And thanks a lot for taking the time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Todd. And we really appreciate all the work that you're doing with your kids in general, with or without this Anderson grant. But we were really excited and happy to be able to help fund some of your work with these kids and see these amazing photos and opportunities for them to get outside and visit their local parks and natural areas. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right. We're going to pass it over to another one of our newest board members, Brighton, to talk about what we're cooking up for 2025. Brighton, take it away.
Thanks, Edward. Can everyone hear me okay? Cool. Okay, so I'm here to talk about upcoming events and projects, and the first one of those is the Douglas C. Anderson Bird Conservation Mini Grant, which we just heard a little bit about from last year, and we want to let everyone know that the application for new projects for the 2025 year is open. So this is where grants of up to $1,000 will be given to an educator or organization that's working on youth-driven community projects, anything that furthers bird conservation, education, or advocacy. So these could be something similar to what we just saw, the example from last year, or another type of project such as research and data collection, habitat improvements, art installations, or educational materials, for example. Really anything that engages youth in taking action for birds in their community. So we encourage you to spread the word to anyone you know who might be interested in this. It's a really great opportunity to have a local impact. And you can find more information about the project requirements in the application form on our website, which is linked here. And applications for this year are due February 16th, so that's coming up pretty soon. So let everybody know. Next slide, please. The next thing I want to introduce is our theme for this year. So 2024, we mentioned that was the year of the peregrine, where we did a lot of peregrine-themed events like field trips and webinars. And for 2025, we're going to embark upon a year of green birding. So this will be a year to promote walking, cycling, rolling, scooting, and taking public transit to participate in a way of birding that's slower and hyper-local, really in an effort for us to deepen our knowledge and appreciation of the birds in our community, while still being mindful of humankind's role in the climate crisis. So some of the programs and events that we have in mind for this theme are things like discussions with people who practice green birding to learn more about their goals and experiences, book clubs where we will read and chat about books related to green birding topics, we've proposed something like a great backyard bird count, so really being hyper local. Um, a Borbs and Forbes series of field trips where we invite birders to partake in stewardship events at local parks and natural areas. And then, of course, even more field trips where we bird via bike and transit. So keep an eye out for those throughout the year. Of course, we're going to continue to offer the same high quality field trips and the virtual and in-person programs and the most popular options that we've already been doing. But we're also going to be trying out new field trip ideas and approaches, including the special programming for the Year of Green Birding that I just mentioned. But there's some other things we have coming up as well. Like there's the Mud Hen 5K and walk at Big Marsh Park. COS did that for the first time in 2022, and it will return this spring if you're interested in a 5K run or walk. We hope to plan more Flock Club social events this year. And the other really big thing is the Urban Bird Festival will be returning this fall at the Nature Museum in September. So keep an eye out for more info about that as well. That's a really exciting thing. That feels very new, but I think a lot of people are really looking forward to that returning this year. Um, Next slide, please. Is there a different one about conservation work, or is that's still this one? Sorry. Okay. The other thing I'd like to take some time to talk about is the planned conservation work that we have this year. Um, we we talked about this a little bit earlier, the ongoing work in the Calumet area with the MAPS banding program and the MODIS tower monitoring. We're going to continue doing that this year. So if you're interested in more details, you can find them on the COS website or ask in chat. We're always looking for more help with those volunteer projects, especially the other conservation project, the Chicago Nighthawk Monitoring Project, where we plan to expand the volunteer pool in 2025, as well as expand the geographic coverage across Chicago as well. We're partnering with the Lincoln Park Zoo on that for data analysis, and we'll be presenting the findings at the local Wild Things Conference in March. So that's something to look forward to from us. And finally, we will continue restoration work at LaBagh Woods as well. And you'll hear more about that in the next section of our presentation tonight. So thanks everyone for listening. Let us know if you have any questions or ideas about upcoming plans for the year.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, Brighton. Really, really appreciate it. And so now on the topic of conservation, we're going to hear a little bit more detail from one of our longest running conservation partnerships work at LaBagh Woods from our leaders, Art, Katie, and Mart at that site. Marty, sorry. So go ahead and take it away, guys. Let us know what's going on here. How much buckthorn have we cut down?
Oh, so much buckthorn that as of last workday, we've actually completed my entire winter plan. So 2 months early. So lots and lots of buckthorn. Hi, I'm Art. I'm the apprentice steward at LaBagh Woods, and there's a couple of others here who I see on the attendance list, who are also not only on the COS leadership board, but are also on the LaBagh leadership team. So I just want to very quickly shout out Marty, Katie, and Christina, who do work both for COS and for us. But if you go to the next slide, I'm going to go ahead and go over the couple of things that I want to cover today. I'm going to start with a little bit of trivia, just to kind of showcase a lot of the work that we have been doing throughout this entire year, things that we're going to be doing in the future, and things that we're excited for. Now, this presentation is a shortened version of our annual year-end report that I just linked in the chat of the Zoom. It is rather lengthy, so if you ever get bored a little bit later after this event is over or tomorrow, feel free to take a look. We put a lot of work into the conservation work that we do here. And I'll get started. Let's go to the next slide. Let's see what the numbers are. Oh, I guess there's one more slide. There we go. So this question is, how many stewardship events did we host in 2024? Oh, wow, we have a timer. I mean, I guess I can just say all of our event signups are held through a portal called GivePulse. All that information is on the link I posted. We also have an Instagram at LaBagh Volunteers that'll take you to all of our workday dates. And we hosted a massive 66 stewardship volunteer events in 2024. Let's go to the next question. All right, this is another question about how truly massive our project is how many total hours did our volunteers contribute in 2024? So if you add up everybody who shows up to our workdays multiplied by the 3 hours our workdays usually are, how many total hours did we contribute? Ah, there we go. We got the number. It's actually over 3,000. At the end of 2024, we had 3,053 volunteer hours. Oh, yeah, might as well. There's only two trivia questions left before we move on. And this is a fun one. How many confirmed species of all organisms have we found at LaBagh Woods in our little tiny 180 acres, 90 of which is actual restored forest area. The rest is, picnics, prairies. Some of you have found the pattern. We have a total of 1,849 confirmed research grade observations on our INAT projects. It's amazing how much biodiversity fits into a relatively small area. All right, finally, and the last question for me is related to you guys. What is the total number of shrubs that the Chicago Ornithological Society has funded for LaBagh Woods since the project started somewhere around 2015? Oh, unfortunately, I broke the pattern on the last question. So 6,354, I think, is a valiant goal to strive for in the future. All right, so let's pass the trivia and go on to some of the things that we've been doing in order to be as successful as we have. When we first started this project, there were a number of what I would call habitat hotspots that weren't particularly connected. So what we have started at the end of last year and moving on to this year is creating a very cohesive network in between all these habitat fragments so we can have a more cohesive bird habitat at LaBagh Woods. There was a magazine article that was published this year that kind of went over how it worked. The link to that is also in the year-end report. And one of the things we talked about is how focusing on bird habitat had this domino effect to improve the overall habitat at LaBagh Woods. So just by focusing on birds, we have seen a remarkable increase in plants, in fungi, in insects, and all these things seem to be compounding. So if you focus on one part, because of how interconnected and interrelated all aspects of an ecosystem are, everything seems to fall in this really nice domino. And I'm really looking forward to bridging more and more of these fragments that we have at LaBagh Woods as we move forward into the future. All right, next slide. Everything we do nowadays is pretty much data driven. We have maps, we collect data on what parts, what shrubs are growing best and where. We're collecting data on what organisms we find and where. We have a full GIS system. Shout out to Marty, who has spearheaded the vast majority of our GIS efforts at LaBagh. And a pilot study was published. I mean, it says spring of 2023. That's when it was done. It was published somewhere around in 2024. That went over how migratory birds are using different habitat features at LaBagh Woods. That was shared with all the stewards of the Forest Preserve District. And we're just trying to take all the information that we have learned doing bird conservation and habitat conservation work at LaBagh Woods and share it with the larger conservation community in Cook County and also in Illinois broadly. So we have put a lot of work into collecting data to make sure that our efforts are meaningful and actually successful. And I think we have. All right, let's go to the next slide. One of the big things at LaBagh Woods that we have really put a lot of work into is building capacity for our volunteers. The Forest Preserve District is very kind to us, and they pay for a lot of our training and certifications and licenses. This year in 2024, we hit 2 records for volunteers that have picked up additional licenses and certifications. We have a total of 7 certified sawyers at LaBagh Woods now, and 34 people with their herbicide license. This is extremely crucial work to habitat restoration. Our sawyers not only clear areas so more light can shine through to the forest floor, but we have a lot of dead ash trees at LaBagh Woods, and the wind knocks them over. And they're the ones who take them off the shrub enclosures that the COS has funded. And our herbiciders make sure that our invasive species that we remove are not growing back. And our native plants that support the habitat that we care about are flourishing. And the 3 sawyers you see there, we have nicknamed them the Lumberjills. I just thought it was fun. All right, moving on to the next one. Oh, no, wait, did we skip one? Oh, we skipped one. Oh, no. Oh, I guess not. All right. So I guess we're going to go into what's next and what we're planning into. There was one other slide. I'm not sure how it got lost, but I might as well speak to it because it's kind of in my plan here. We had a lot of partnerships in 2024 that I want to shout out. Chicago Ornithological Society continues to be our largest partnership that we work with, especially to support our bird habitat programs. But we have also partnered with Gay for Good, a community group in Chicago, a nonprofit called Embark, which connects high school students to learning opportunities outdoors. We've hosted 2 high schools through that in our workday. And one of the big community events that we do nowadays that I hope to grow in the future are moth nights, where we set up a moth sheet with special lights that emit light in a frequency to actually entice moths to come hang out on the sheet. And we keep increasing the number of insects and moths and Lepidopteris, I never know how to say it, moths and butterflies that we find here in Cook County. And every single year we keep adding like a county first or state first moth that we manage to find as a result of those days. All right, so what's next? I want to continue our success in expanding our certified volunteer group, especially with our herbiciders. We have such massive work days where we remove so many invasive species. We struggle to keep up with our herbiciding, even with 34 herbiciders. So that is something I continue to want to do. I continue to want to build our community involvement and engagement, continue building our partnerships with more conservation communities. I'm lucky enough to be a teacher, so whenever I need a community partner, I have about 4,500 students who have connections that I can call on, and I'm thrilled to do that. Something I'm going to let all of you know for the first time ever is we are shooting, starting pretty much this month, a YouTube documentary series about ecological management and ecological restoration to share even more about what we learn with more individuals. I'm very excited to get that project started. It's going to be very fun. I have a lot of inspiration to get down to editing, and I'm very excited to see what comes of that, and continue to use what we learned to continue our bird habitat work. I think it's time to ramp up the amount of bird habitat restoration work we've been doing. We took a 2-year slowdown to do a little bit of monitoring and upkeep, but I think it's time to start collecting seeds and start growing so we can get even more shrubs in the ground. Now that we know what shrubs do well and where, and now that we have very specific locations where we can pick the best shrubs suited to the best locations, I think it's time to continue doing a little bit more work for one of the most important habitat areas along the bird migration corridor here in the Midwest. And with that, I think that's everything I have planned for y'all. Thank you for giving me the time to show off the amazing work that's happening at LaBagh Woods.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I am going to interrupt the LaBagh team just to briefly say for all the birders on this call, just like how there's a lot of really awesome birds to be found during winter birding, winter work days are some of the best and most fun work days there are to join. So if you're feeling in any way convinced by Art and this team to come out and do a stewardship work day at LaBagh, winter is a great time to jump in. And I'm not just saying that, that's coming from years of experience myself. Winter is where it's at. Get out there.
No mosquitoes, and even though it's cold, the massive 1,300-degree fire will keep you plenty warm.
Well, my name is Katie Krigman. I guess I'm up next. I'm wanting to welcome you to the presentation of the 2024 Chicago Ornithological Society Bird Conservation Award. This award honors exemplary volunteers who have provided outstanding assistance in the efforts to restore LaBagh Woods, including replacing invasives with native shrubs and trees that benefit all creatures, as Art said, not just birds. And each person who receives the award is automatically inducted into what is affectionately called the Order of the Buckthorn. This is the award. It's made of buckthorn. It's hard to believe, but COS has been involved at LaBagh now for 10 years. This is actually beginning our 11th. Out of those thousands of folks who have volunteered there, only 30 individuals named here have previously been awarded the Bird Conservation Award to recognize their outstanding dedication and contributions on a long-term and consistent basis. Many of the awardees named here continue to provide unrelenting support for LaBagh's restoration, for which we give our thanks. But we would like to extend our special thanks to Art W., apprentice steward at LaBagh, who, as you have seen, has stepped up in so many ways to assume the leadership of the FPDCC volunteer program there. From organizing and planning work days, to encouraging and bringing out the best in folks, to his "we will make it work" response to any challenge. Art, you are the best. You make volunteering so much fun, and we hope you all come out someday and find out what it's really like. So now turning to tonight's business, COS is delighted to announce the recipients of its 2024 Bird Conservation Awards. Next slide, please. Our first recipient is Janet Dawson. Janet is a regular and longtime volunteer at LaBagh. She brought a wealth of knowledge about nature in general and plants in particular when she started volunteering with us. I can still remember how very impressed I was that she could identify what insect there was that was making the gall on the Canada thistle we were pulling. We're lucky that Janet has chosen to put her love of nature to work at LaBagh. She shows untiring enthusiasm for LaBagh's principal task, from exclosure building to shrub planting to meticulous herbiciding to invasive removal. She always steps up for the special workdays Art schedules when he is trying desperately to get caught up on herbiciding all the buckthorn that's been cut by the volunteers. Her cool head and spirit of volunteerism makes her a confident leader for any task her team has been assigned. Janet, COS is delighted to recognize your efforts and devotion to LaBagh with this award and to announce your induction into the Order of the Buckthorn. Marty Flynn is going to take over for the remaining presentations.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. I am pleased to announce the next recipient of COS's 2024 Bird Conservation Award, Evan Helchin. Evan is another longtime and regular volunteer. He has not only devoted many hours to LaBagh's regular work days, but has put his tech skills to work to help LaBagh as well. He wrote a script to scrape the information about plantings, which were contained in the older LaBagh Habitat Keepers website, into a digital map. And as Art pointed out, these digital maps are becoming ever more important to manage our little slice of paradise. This is going to be a really important tool to monitor the investment of time and money that we have put into LaBagh's understory. He is also willing to tackle any task, from augering, no matter how hot it is or how hard and dry the soil is, to schlepping fencing equipment to our far-flung sites, and to pulling bushels of invasives. His attitude is always can do. Evan, COS is pleased to recognize your efforts with the 2024 Bird Conservation Award. Congratulations and welcome to the Order of the Buckthorn. Next slide, please. Our final recipient is G-Link. From augering to weed whacking to sawyering, G consistently steps in to do the heavy lifting on our work days and with great care. They quickly added new skills to their resume to enable us to get more done in becoming one of those certified sawyers this year. G also brings a much needed logical mind, helpful when you're trying to solve the geometry problem of building peanut-shaped exclosures on a steep slope to protect our newly planted shrubs. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention G's savory baked goods enjoyed by all while refueling during a workday. G, congratulations on receiving COS's 2024 Bird Conservation Award, and welcome to the Order of the Buckthorn. So in closing, team, COS appreciates all the amazing contributions that these 3 award recipients have made and continue to make at LaBagh. We hope all the folks attending this meeting will join us in congratulating the volunteerism and leadership exemplified by these 2024 honorees, as well as the work done by all the LaBagh volunteers. Thank you all so much. Back to you, Edward.
Thank you, Art, Marty, Katie, for presenting all this incredible work. And of course, thank you to the Order of the Buckthorn inductees. Congratulations, your work truly is remarkable. And I'm not just saying this, but the work that is being done at LaBagh truly is an incredible model and trailblazer in terms of how stewardship and habitat restoration is done in the Chicago region. I think it really doesn't get enough credit for how what you guys are doing really is unique amongst preserves and parks. And it is all because of the people power. It is all because you guys show up to these, 66 work days over the course of the year to make it happen. So thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart and COS. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing. Incredible work. So I'm going to turn it over to our last major section coming out of 2024, which is our photos of the year. I'm going to pass it over to COS board member and Chicago Birder editor, Robin Detterline. Take it away, Robin.
Thanks, Edward. So yes, I'm Robin. I'm the editor of the Chicago Birder, and one of my favorite things about this volunteer work I do is seeing all of the amazing photographs our very generous contributors send in for publication in our digital magazine and our blog. So I like to really express my gratitude to them and my appreciation by doing this Photo of the Year award. And this year, since we have this voting option for all of you, we will also have a People's Choice Award. So you can vote for your favorite as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and jump into the top 10 for this year. So our first top 10 photo, these are in no particular order because we'll announce the big winners at the end. So our first top 10 photo was this beautiful morning warbler. Kelly is here. So Kelly, I don't know if you want to jump in and maybe tell us the story behind this photo.
Sure, I can jump in. So I want to mention that the morning warbler has been my photography nemesis since the time I started taking photos of birds. This is actually the first photo that I took of a morning warbler that I was really happy with. And it was at Montrose. Kevin Lynn and Matt Dulcart and I had kind of picked out this perch and we'd been keeping an eye on it. And this guy, I could hear him singing in the shrubbery behind this area. And he just popped into that nice, beautiful light while I was standing there and ready to take his picture. So it was kind of magic. And I only later noticed, I think because Woody pointed it out, that he has like a fully black throat, which is pretty unusual for the morning warbler. They usually just have that black necklace. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Yes, we
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
loved this photo. I have some comments from our board I'd like to share. We love the blurred, soft background and the bird emerging bright and into focus. And we thought the tail obscured, while eBird wouldn't like that. We thought that it just added to the magic of this photo. And the position of his head, he very much looks like he's thinking about something, and we're wondering, what is he thinking about? And we really liked the coloring, the tones, the yellow and olive in the bird and also in the lichen on the branch. Sort of all mesh well together, and it just creates this beautiful texture. And one board member said it was a compositional masterpiece. So we absolutely love this photo. So thank you so much, Kelly. We'll move on to the next top 10 photo, please. Another warbler, this Canada warbler by Jeff Bilski. Jeff's not able to be here tonight, but he shared some words behind this photo. He said, "This Canada warbler was one of 17 warbler species I saw that day at my favorite patch, Skokie Lagoons. I was lucky to capture this shot through the brush, but still showing what a striking and memorable warbler it is." And so we picked this photo because of the skulking warbler's pose and his intense stare at the camera. Like, look at that stare. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it strikes fear into my heart or I don't know, but he's just intense. And also, like, warblers, any picture of a warbler is super impressive to me because they're so hard to get pictures of. So just this shot is impressive. And it really captures sort of, we feel like we're birding when we see this photo, right? Like we're hiding, we're lurking somewhere, and then suddenly this bird jumps up and he's hiding it, he's staring at us. Like it felt like really like we're in the thick of this photo. And again, like this bird is on a mission, he's laser focused. We want to know his story. We want to know how he's doing now. We just feel such a connection to this bird, so we loved it. So can we move on, please, to the next top 10 photo? So this is an Eastern Kingbird by Alex Munch, who could not be here tonight, but he sent me the story behind this. So let me read that for you. He says, "In the past 3 years, I'd spent most of my summers in Iowa, and I rarely saw Eastern Kingbirds. However, my partner and I finally moved fully back to Humboldt Park this summer, and I was so excited to see them en masse in the park again. They were one of my favorites when I started birding in the area, and I didn't even realize I'd gotten, they were one of his favorites when he started birding in the area every summer, and he didn't realize he'd gotten such a sharp shot till he viewed it at home, and he was so excited to realize that he caught this bird smiling. And there was some debate on the board whether or not the bird was smiling or maybe, you know, about to do something nefarious. But anyways, we loved this photo because of the sharp focus, his gleaming eye, that open beak, like, you know, that classic pose of a kingbird, all framed against the background. We thought created this wonderful, like, almost, I don't know, in a way it's kind of psychedelic, isn't that background with the blurred leaves? So we love that. We love the details and the textures you can see of the bird's feathers. And one of our board members mentioned that this kingbird looks very much like an Oreo cookie. So we loved that. We kind of want to gobble them up, but not really. Yeah, we love the personality and such a great classic looking photo of a bird. So thanks for this, Alex. We'll move on to the next top 10 photo, which is also by Alex. So let me read you this story behind this. Hooded merganser, another shot at Humboldt Park. He says, I had been watching a red-tailed hawk perched on the light post above the concrete fishing pier, and after it had flown off, I noticed the merganser close to it with much better lighting than the day before. I'd laid low on the pier and poked my camera out over the rail to get the low to the water shot, and wound up getting this great shot with the mouth open. So on the board, we love this photo because it's always awesome to see a bird yawning, right? It's just adorable. It's so cute. So we love that. And also hooded mergansers have some of the wackiest personalities among ducks. And so this photo just like captures that perfectly. So we love to see that. And also the crisp detail in the bill, you know, you can see the teeth, the hooked nail, you can see all of that. And as one board member put it, the glorious bouffant of the ducks. And we want to know, how do mergansers reset their hairdo after a dive, right? They have that hair, they dive, they come back up, they've still got that awesome hair. How do they do it? We must know. But we just love the personality in this photo. Plus the technical just aspects of it's just great. So thanks, Alex. And we can move on to our next photo, which is also by Alex. And also from the same session as the merganser. So he got two awesome shots on one day. So that's really cool. He said the water was relatively calm on the south end of Humboldt Lagoon, and this drake was gently bobbing through the water, and it gave him this great shot where the surface looked like a mirror. And we loved that. A wood duck, like this is a classic wood duck photo. So we loved that. This bird is a marvel of color and design. And this bird brings that out so much. Every patch of green, camel, maroon, everything so beautifully on this photo with those colors. Such a crisp image of a relatively common bird that sometimes it's hard to get such a close-up look at. So we liked that. It shows every detail of the intricate patterning, and also that reflection, not only capturing the duck, but his motion. So we thought this was a really sharp photo. So thanks, Alex, for your top 3 photos that we loved. We can move on to the next one of this very charming dark-eyed junco by Ian Sarmiento. Ian could not be here tonight, but he gave me the story behind his photo. He says, the junco was shot from the frozen pond outside my condo window. I usually spread bird seeds onto the pond's icy surface to give myself a better look at birds, as well as giving native species more opportunities for food, as the squirrels and house sparrows are not giving them much opportunity. So knowing the story behind the photo, I feel like I like this one even more, to know that this bird is kind of been kicked out of the bird feeder, but hey, he's got his own space. So I love it. So as the board, we thought, you know, juncos, they're often written off as these very dull, sort of simple birds. But this photo really shows the spectrum of color that these birds can have. We love how each color can be found. Each color on the junco is sort of found in the surroundings between like the snow and the, you know, the seeds and everything. We just love that he matches his surroundings. And we're also, of course, a fan of that look. Like, he is so excited for this buffet of seeds. And he's like, which one do I pick first? Like, we love it. So it's just such a charming photo. So thanks for that, Ian. We can move to the next photo, please. Another photo by Ian of these European goldfinch. Ian says that this photo was taken at a park in Lake County. This was my first good photograph of this species. I was getting frustrated because the birds stayed way high, and I was looking up. As I was looking up, these two birds popped up 5 feet in front of me at eye level. So that's awesome. So we really love this photo just because these birds are absolutely gorgeous. Like, they're just gorgeous. We love the pose of the birds so that we can see, we get two sort of vantages of this species in one shot, from the side and the front. So we love that. The colors are just beautiful against this blue-gray sort of background. And the red faces of the goldfinches stand out like crab apples against those more subtle autumn colors. So we just loved this photo. So thank you, Ian, for all your contributions to the Chicago Birder. And we can move on to the next photo. This Black Crowned Night Heron by Dustin Widener. Dustin is here, I believe. So if you want to tell us the story behind this photo.
Yeah, I like to sometimes bird from a kayak, and so I was going down the Chicago River, and for some reason when you're in a kayak, it's like they don't notice you're a person or something, but you can get pretty close. Like, you can just kind of cruise by and take photos. And that's what I did to get this one. I and I just really enjoyed the like kind of shadows and just kind of surrounded by like bright leaves. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So this is what our board had to say about this photo. The negative space in the photo is amazing, making the bird pop at the center. The expression on the bird's face is priceless. The deep red eyes, the way the wings are held confidently at the side, it's a very powerful pose. And the hazy painterly quality gives it this mythical spin. And one of our board members mentioned that with AI floating around, we're always questioning now, is what I'm seeing real? So this otherworldly quality juxtaposed with the fact that we know this is a real species, this is a real bird in the real world, and this is a real photograph, just makes this all the more impressive. So thank you, Dustin, for that. We can move on to the next photo, which is also by Dustin. So did you want to tell us about this one?
Yeah, so I got this one during bird banding. So I'm using a macro lens here, which is traditionally used for like really tiny things like bugs. But I like to use them and get all those little feather details. In this picture, I really enjoy kind of the like rainbow colors in the background. I think those are like, we use these like wooden, I don't know, clips to close the birds in their little bags. And I think that's the clips hanging in the background, creating a rainbow. I don't know, but
That's awesome.
I like to
That's
use
really
it
cool.
around pride stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, awesome. So our board liked this because it's such a crisp image of this very common but classic bird. The beautiful fine red feathering in her crest is more striking against that blurred background with those blurred colors. And one board member mentioned that they had no idea that female northern cardinals had crimson eyeshadow to match their crest, which is a very good point. Like, it's very fashionable. Nicely done, Miss Cardinal. And her thoughtful expression is endearing, and it reminds us that we're just we're so lucky. We're so lucky to see a cardinal, be able to see a cardinal every day. You know, we don't think about it, but like, how lucky are we to be able to see a cardinal every day? So they're definitely something we need to celebrate and conserve. So thank you for that. And then we can move on to our last photo, which I believe, yes, is also by Dustin. So I'm going to grab you one more time to tell us about this one.
Yeah, so I got this one in Denata Forest Preserves over in DuPage County. And I don't know, it was kind of a relatively slow birding day. And then I looked up and I just see this movement across the vine. And when you know, I love cedar waxwings and they're best as like a tight flock and eating. And I just thought it looked like a little necklace of birds going across. And um and to get this photo, you know, when I'm getting flocks, I use a very technical technique called a spray and pray. So I get it in focus and just take a billion pictures and hopefully they're like posed nicely in one of them, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're glad you got this shot. We just thought the composition of this was exquisite. It draws us in and makes us notice it. And there's so many different lines for the eye to follow, yet it all sort of hangs in perfect balance. We love it though, because it shows the character of these birds. You know, these are gregarious birds that are flocking together. So watching them interact like this, it's an incredible and real gift when you get to see it. So in this photo, we can just like we feel what it's like to be a waxwing and sort of that silent communication they have. You know, it's really magical and it's sort of beyond our comprehension what they're actually doing in this photo. But yeah, it just reminds us we can learn so much about birds and their behavior when we open ourselves up to it. So thank you so much, Dustin. Thank you for everyone. Even if you weren't our top 10, I couldn't do the top like 100 because this would be a really long presentation. So really thank you so much to everyone who submits your photographs to us. We really, really appreciate it. And our magazine is successful because of all of you. So thank you so much. So now we can move on to the People's Choice Award. So you have, oh my gosh, time's already counting down, 40 seconds to pick your top photo for 2024. Let's see. Ooh, votes are coming in. It's exciting. All right, looks like we got some clear favorites already. I need to vote. All right, 10 seconds, everyone. Get your votes in. Oh, are we going to have it? No. Wow. That's remarkable. So Dustin gets first, second, and third place in the People's Choice Award. Congratulations. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. And now we can, yeah, Dustin's sweet. Now we can move on to the top 3 as chosen by the board. This was a very tough decision, but the votes were tallied, and so our top 3 were, next slide. So number 3, this Canada warbler, we just could not resist his stare, could not resist it. So thank you so much, Jeff, for this photo. Second place will go to the Hooded Merganser by Alex. Yes, this crazy bird, we love her. So that hairdo, that yawn, or shouting, I guess we don't know, do we? Thank you so much, Alex. And our first place, our photo of the year for 2024 is the Black Crown Night Heron by Dustin. Thank you so much, Dustin. We absolutely love this photo. And we appreciate all of your contributions. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening, viewing these wonderful photos with us.
All right. Well, congratulations, Dustin, on the Dustin sweep. Congratulations to all of our amazing photographers for just being amazing. I mean, y'all are amazing. You really kick butt at this whole bird photography thing. So truly remarkable. And we really appreciate you guys sharing those photos with us. It means a lot that we can put them on blast, whether that's in the Chicago Birder magazine, on our blog, on our website, or on events and gatherings like this one. So truly, thank you for not only being amazing photographers, but being amazingly generous members of the community and sharing your photography with all of us. Thank you. So with that said, let's get into the home stretch of tonight's program. Let's round things out with some trivia. As a reminder, if you have not already joined either through the URL or the QR code on the left side of your screen, now is a great time to do that. You certainly can answer questions in the Zoom chat if you prefer, but you will not be getting those awesome points if you don't participate via the QR code. Also, as a note that all of these questions are timed, so not only do you get points for being right or wrong, but you get points for how quickly you answer the question. So, with that said, I think I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Vinod, COS board member, to bring us into the trivia section of tonight. Take it away.
Thanks, Edward. Very happy to be doing trivia. So the scores add on as you guys answer the quiz, they add on to the scores that you already have. And but you're welcome to join as you come in. The URL is on the side. It's also, I've copied and pasted it in the chat. Please feel free to jump in. We've got something like 15 questions, I think. So yeah, I'm excited to get started. It's pretty simple. Try to get the right answer and and try to get it as quickly as you can. It's the quicker you answer, the more points you get. So let's get started. Let's go to the first question. Oh, right. So we have to enter. I see my name in here, but I swear I'm not going to be answering my own questions. Feel free to create. Okay, here we go. This family of birds is called Troglodytidae, which means, cave dweller, because they disappear into caves and crevices seeking insect prey, often spiders. Could it be wrens, the family of wrens, the family of swifts, nightjars, or tree creepers, which in North America only has the brown creeper? We're running out of time. We see that wrens and nightjars have the most answers. The answer is wrens. Wrens are the troglodytes. In fact, the house wren's genus name is troglodyte, I think. And if you've ever seen them sort of looking for food, you'll see kind of that they just disappear into like little rat holes and things like that and don't come out for a while. Not both northern and southern house wren have the genus name Troglodytes. Um, the southern house wren, which is a new species, very recent, its species name is even more adorable. Is musculus, which means little mouse. So its name literally means little mouse that goes into caves looking for food. So I think that's a beautiful image. So let's look at the leaderboard, how we're doing. So we have ACS, Brighton, Katie, and Edward bringing up the top of the list. So let's go on to the next question. Again, quick answers, but take your time. We've been talking about green birding. Now, often the male members of species are often more colorful, and often they get both the common and the Latin name. However, the Latin name of this species actually describes the female, who is olive green compared to her more colorful male counterpart. Could it be a painted bunting, scarlet tanager, ruby-throated hummingbird, or a chestnut-sided warbler? All of these birds, the female members tend to be greenish. Okay, let's see what the answer is. Ooh, That's actually pretty good. We have a 12, we have a huge majority of members talking about the scarlet tanager. And let's see, there she is. And the scarlet tanager is Piranga olivacea for the olive green female member of that species. Cool. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Looks like, oh, we have some board members kind of sort of up and coming. Let's see how it goes. Let's look at the next question. Okay, so this one is birds versus their very colorful, sometimes regional / folk name. We have northern flicker, American woodcock, American bittern, and spotted sandpiper, and their folk names, which would be yellowhammer, bog thumper, timberdoodle, and teetertail. So go ahead and find a way to match the birds with their regional or folk names. Yeah, let's storm the palace, Katerina.
Says the board member.
I'm impartial here. I'm not taking part. Here we go. Ooh. Northern Flicker, Yellowhammer. Timberdoodle, I think that one's come up a couple of times. Bittern, Bog Thumper, and Spotted Sandpiper, Teetertail. Again, sometimes folk names just are just like so evocative of the bird's behaviors. Let's see how oh, here we go. Here, so we had Christina who found actually the reason for why the bittern is called the bog thumper. So if you're walking on Southbound this coming spring and you hear that, you know what you guys need to be looking for. It's just me being yeah. So I'll just say that when it comes to the folk names, there are several birds whose folk names I cannot actually have in this quiz because let's say they're a little too folksy. For example, green heron. You guys can look up the folk name of the green heron on your own time. Okay. Cool. We see. I think Tarek is coming up. Let's see what happens next. My next question. The peregrine falcon's black mustache, which is the malar stripe, how does it help the falcon or help, I guess, everybody? Does it strike fear in the hearts of their prey, maybe causing them to just like drop dead? Does it help birds recognize their mates from a distance? Does it reduce the glare from the sun during the hunt? Or is it just there so we can tell it's a peregrine falcon and not, like a washed out merlin or something? Which of these is the real reason? Okay, that was a little lopsided. I made up some fake but plausible sounding options here, but it looks like everybody got that. There we go. And this is really cool because apparently, sports players do that, and it's called eye black. But the animal that the peregrine falcon is most commonly compared with, the African cheetah, also has this exact same feature, as does the cheetah's classic prey, which is the Thompson's gazelle. They all have this, and it's to help reduce solar glare in a very bright, sort of sunlit environment, which I thought was really cool. That's awesome. Let's look at the next question. Smallest to the largest wingspan. Let's see, and you guys just have to rank. I think you move, the green is the smallest, so you just have to move what you guys think is the smallest wingspan up, and the larger ones to the bottom. Here we go. So I think that this is cool because it tells us a little bit about these birds. The gray catbird versus the veery. I believe the veery is a longer distance migrant than the catbird, which even though they're similarly sized, the veery might be slightly smaller. It seems to have a larger wingspan. The chimney swift is the smallest bird by far in this list, yet it has a pretty decent wingspan for its size, obviously because to help its aerial lifestyle. Spotted sandpiper and European starling. Spotted sandpipers are longer distance migrants than European starlings, but I believe European starlings have generally a more aerial lifestyle. So, I mean, I'm kind of, so, it's like cool to see these features and sort of guess why they might be. So I think that's really cool that the wingspan tells us something about their lifestyles. I think these are great choices, Christina. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is one of our abundant fall visitors. Sometimes when you're on the lakeshore, you have to make sure you're not stepping on them when in like September or October. However, it's one of the few birds that can digest wax. Wax is notoriously hard chemical to digest because it's a saturated fat, so. But this bird has the ability to digest it. Here we go. We have a number of palm warblers. I'm actually curious to see what that connection is, but yellow-rumped warblers have the ability to digest wax. One of their major winter foods in the eastern United States is the wax myrtle, which is why the eastern subspecies of yellow-rumped warblers has the name myrtle warbler. And this actually allows them to rely on a fruit-based diet in winter, and this allows them to overwinter much farther north than most other warblers, and that's their secret, the fact that they can digest waxy foods. Yes, palm warblers, but also, some days you get palm warbler days in fall. Some days you get yellow-rumped warbler days in fall. So I think those were both good guesses. Ooh, Tarek has sort of roared to the top over here. Is that 593? Is that the number of species also that were spotted this year? I'm not sure. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, again, another common fall/winter visitor. Comes in two forms, white-striped and tan-striped. If you want a little clue, that's not actually what the bird is named after, and it's not what we usually look for when trying to ID this bird. And this is not a multiple choice. You guys have to just type in the answer. I think you have some leeway in spelling. I would give the ABA code if I knew any ABA codes full name. I'll tell you, it's one of the birds that has a Canada connection. White-throated sparrow. I'm curious what some of the other answers might be. The Canada connection, of course, is their song, which in our area we tend to hear in March or April when they start to sing before they're ready to take off to their summering grounds, and which is sometimes you sort of written out as "Oh, sweet Canada, Canada, Canada." That's the Canada connection, and the answer is white-throated sparrow. There we go. That's the white and the tan striped variations. Yeah, Katrina has mentioned something about their mating systems, and the white and tan stripes actually go. Oh yeah, there we go. Have a role to play there. Question 13. How do Inca doves keep warm during cold winter nights in their desert habitat? Do they roost in tree cavities? Do they roost on street lamps? Do they roost on compost piles? Or do they just roost directly on top of each other? One of these is true, and the others I took some time making up. Okay, so it looks like this is something of a thing that people know. They directly roost on top of each other. There we go. I insisted on we actually figured out how to put images into this presentation just because I had to have this picture in here, I think. That's pyramid roosting. I was going to make a pyramid Inca joke, but it turns out the Inca people didn't make pyramids, so you guys are spared that joke. But this is how they roost on cold winter nights. Other birds, like eastern bluebirds, for example, will roost in tree cavities on cold winter nights. I'm guessing in a lot of Inca dove habitat, there aren't large trees with cavities. Okay, so this looks like it was... Oh, okay, we're on the next one. Spot the odd one out. Eastern phoebe, prairie warbler, palm warbler, and eastern wood pewee. The one thing they have in common is they all start with a letter P somewhere. But what is the odd one out here? We have 2 warblers and 2 flycatchers. Cool. So, oh wow, this is this is a real split decision here. Does somebody want to type in why they think their answer is the correct one? I'm curious to see what the I'll give a clue. The correct answer is one of the 2 answers that got the most votes. Katrina got it right. Oh, she task failed successfully for Katrina. She got the wrong answer, but the answer is the tail pumping. The eastern wood pewee, as far as I know, doesn't tail pump. The other birds do. Which is often a real good clue when you're in a field and you look at a flycatcher and it's pumping its tail. That's likely to be a phoebe. Yes, prairie warblers do pump their tails. They do a little bit of a swish, more like I think more like a blue grosbeak, but it's something that's noticeable. Of course, we know palm warblers do that right before you step on them. Ooh, that seems to be a little bit of a set pattern here. Let's see how it goes. Let's look at the next question. Odd one out again. Wood duck, hooded merganser, red-breasted merganser, black-bellied whistling duck, and bufflehead. All ducks. That is one right answer, and all the others are wrong answers. And I'm trying to make a pun, which is not really working because I'm saying answer as an A-N-S-E-R. Robin is really shaking her head. Okay, here we go. We have wood duck. Again, if somebody would like to give a rationale, I would love to hear it. The correct answer is I'm glad I'm getting some validation here, so I'm just gonna go with it. Red-breasted mergansers. Anyone wants to guess why oh, actually, let me see. Did I mess up that one? Well, I think Katrina got it again. Let's hope she got the right answer as a result of that impeccable logic. But that's awesome, Katrina. Yes, cavity nesters. I want to say that diverse versus non-diverse doesn't work because, ooh, because I don't think black-bellied whistling ducks dive either, so I don't think that would work. I like John's answer as well. I don't know if that's a way to give him some credit after the fact. But I was thinking of tree nesters versus non-tree nesters. In fact, black-bellied whistling ducks, their Latin name, the genus name is Dendrosigna, which means tree swan, which I think is beautiful because it captures the fact that they nest in trees and they are more swan-like than duck-like with their very long necks. But all of these ducks nest in trees except for red-breasted mergansers. So we're getting some extra credit for John. Cool. I'll have to think about Dustin's answers there. Next question. Why do not woodpeckers peck wood, which is not a reason for woodpeckers pecking on trees? Is it not to mark territory, not to find insects to eat, not to chisel holes, or not to scare off predators? So again, we have a good sort of consensus here, I think. They do peck on wood for all these reasons, except to scare off predators. Again, I think there's kind of a pattern here, but there's definitely room to sort of upset this this particular. Last question, also a woodpecker question. Which of these birds is the closest thing to an ant specialist we have in North America? Is it the eastern meadowlark, killdeer, pipits, or northern flicker? We don't. Lots of habitats around lots of habitats around the world have exclusive ant feeders. We don't, but we have one bird that comes really close. This was all self-credit, not because I blurted out the answer by accident before the question was given. It's you're more you know, you've been birding and you're flushing a bird out of the ground and it's a northern flicker. That was probably a bird looking for ants. Some of the flicker species from South America, I believe like the Campo flicker, are exclusively terrestrial. They've spent all their time on the ground looking for ants and termites. The closest thing we get, I think the closest ant specialists we have in North America are the northern flicker and the brown bear. Which is also a ferocious anteater. A significant portion of the diet of brown bears, I think, when the ants come out, is ants. So but we don't have a completely terrestrial. Oh, cool. We have a little factoid here that woodpeckers also rub ants on themselves, and the ants spray formic acid on them. I'm just trying to make up for the fact that I gave out the answer before the question even started. So that brings us to the end of the trivia. Let's look at the final. There we go. Final leaderboard. We have Tariq winning yet another tournament this year. Congrats to Tariq. ACS. Do you have I don't know who ACS is. So if that can be like a raised hand or something, that'd be great. Robin and Katrina. Oh, that's Adrian. That's awesome. Congrats. I'll let is it going to be Christina who's taking over, or Edward?
I believe it's my turn to wrap things up for the night here. So thank you, Vinod, for a really awesome round of trivia questions here. Those are some tough ones for sure, but congratulations to everybody who participated, whether you got them all right or not. Congratulations, Tarek, for killing it. And congratulations and thank you to all of you for an amazing 2024. I want to thank all of the board members who have made 2024 an amazing year and helped us do the work that we did. I want to thank all of you for taking advantage of all the things that we did, whether that was coming out to field trips, attending programs, helping with our conservation projects, you name it. Truly, it's an amazing community we've got here, and we are really, really lucky to all have each other and being able to enjoy this shared interest and hobby together. So with that said, you know where to find us, but it's right there on the screen, chicagobirder.org, all the information about the many things that we talked about today, where all of our events as they come up will be posted, where all of the ways to get involved and participate with us if you'd like to in the new year happen. Drop us a line. Got questions, ideas, concerns, want to help out, whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you guys. So hit us up online, send us an email, follow us on social media. But once again, thank you all for a fantastic year of the Peregrine. Heck yeah. And I'm really, really looking forward to an amazing 2025 with all of you guys. So with that said, thank you once again for joining us tonight. We will see you in the new year. Take care, everyone.